Hello, welcome to another session of a coffee and a concept where we try to give a concept within the time you can drink a cup of coffee. So what are we going to talk about now today? We are going to talk about conflict. Okay, so conflict is inevitable and it exists in any environment. So we are going to talk about the conflict in the organization. So there are people talk about different types of conflicts and the different ways to 5 or 6 different ways to go and manage those conflicts. Now we will look at this conflict in a different perspective. So instead of looking at why the conflict is there and then how do we go and address it, we will look at it in a very higher perspective. So there are 2 types of conflicts which we have seen when we work with organizations. One, personality related conflicts. So that could be between individuals or 2 set of teams, number 1. And number 2, conflicts between the roles, 2 individuals, or it could be between 2 different functions. So in this session predominantly we will focus on the second one than the personality. So personality related conflicts, how do we handle it? We will have an elaborate session with our HR experts in place. Now to talk about the second conflict, which is a role-based conflict, I'll give you an example. In an organization, you have to increase your sales by, let's say, 20% in this year. So that's the target that is given to you. Now what will the marketing department do? So the marketing department will go for more marketing initiatives, so thereby spending more money out of their company's pocket to push the sales up. 1. On the other hand, finance function, they have given a target of reducing the cost, so they will jeopardize this and then say, hey, why you have to spend so much of money, and there is a conflict there. So this is again a role-based conflict. Now how do we handle it? So it's again, you have to build an organization where you infuse a culture of saying conflicts will arise and conflicts will exist, and we have to have an open opportunity for every function to come to this forum, talk about it, and then resolve it. So the advantages of this sort of conflict is that this always gives us an optimal solution. So every conflict, this sort of conflicts, role-based conflicts, has to be looked upon as an opportunity to move ourselves ahead one single notch. This is one. And another example to talk about. Now, in a manufacturing setup, the production always wants the sourcing or the procurement function to be more agile for the fluctuations of the materials that is needed. Right? So today the order spikes up and they want all the materials to be available so that they can quickly make the product and give it to the sales team to go and sell it. On the other hand, procurement and purchasing functions, so they have the target of reducing the cost, and inventory carrying cost is one of the parameters that is given to them. So they wanted to operate on the most leaner inventory as much as possible, making the organization a little more rigid in terms of flexibility. Okay, now here comes an interesting thing. When you bring both of these problems together to the table, so we are going to come up with an optimal solution which is going to push us into flying colors, right? So more transparency is being built. On the other hand, trying to understand the operational constraints and the challenges what the other functions are doing. So these are all the things that comes to the table and gives us an opportunity to find out the optimal solution, which will in turn help the overall organization to, as we said, move one notch above. So the role-based conflict, it has to exist in an organization and it will always be healthy. Now, there is one important thing which we need to notice is, how often do these conflicts arises, and do we have repetitive conflicts on a regular cadence? Now that is going to be challenging. What that means is that we have not noticed these conflicts, which is again a challenge for the individual teams or the functions which is going to put stress on what they are trying to do and then what they are going to achieve for the organization. So to be more productive and encourage them to work on a common goal, we need to address these role-based conflicts on a periodic basis, which will help as an organization to grow and serve the customer in a better way. So conflict in a sense is good as far as we are concerned, as long as we have the right methodology and process to address it and then take the organization to the next level. Thank you very much. We will meet you in another session of a coffee and a concept. Thank you very much. Bye.